Really? You really wanted to ask help of this guy? Ronnie Ann groaned, leaning on a wooden fence. Lily cast a glare from the Hispanic girl. Yeah, I saw him wrangle a ball up into a numerous times and wrestle a pig. Unless you got any better ideas. Ronnie Ann opened her mouth to voice the rebuttal, but closed it as the words died in her throat. I know you said we knew someone, Lily, but I wasn't expecting that someone to be Liam, Lincoln added. The trio were watching from the farm boy, tending to his chickens, spreading some feed on the ground for them to eat. One of the roosters started getting a bit too close for comfort. The red-headed shot a glare. Hey, watch it, your turn, Chuck. Ladies need to eat first. The rooster questioned and barked at him, but with one swift flick on the beak got him to back down. Ronnie Ann held a deadpan look. Yeah, I'm still not impressed. She then turned to Lincoln. Still, you want to look somewhere else? The tomboy shrugged. I guess. I still kind of is late to bring Liam into this, to be honest. She then turned to Lily. Sorry, Lily, but we're gonna... Lincoln stopped after noticing Lily was no longer next to him. Raising a brow, he twisted his head to his fro to find his wayward sister. Liam hummed as he finally gave Chuck his breakfast. There, hope you're happy. Hey, Liam, can we talk for a second? A female voice called out. Sure thing. Liam turned to find Lily walking over. Lily, what do I owe you a pleasure of seeing ya in these parts? So, Lily started in a sweet voice, holding her hands behind her back. Me and Lincoln need some help on finding our ex-sisters, and we were hoping you'd join. Liam raised an eyebrow. What? Lincoln ran over, casting a disapproval look at the blonde. Lily, you could at least told me you were going to walk off. Howdy, Lincoln. Hey. So what is this I've been hearing of you of family issues? Liam asked as he leaned over the giant bag of chicken feed. It's complicated. Lincoln rubbed his arm. About as complicated as getting the snot beaten out of him by 9 girls at once? Ronalda addressed it as she strolled up. If for some reason, Lily thinks you'd be of help. Liam blinked a few times. Well, how about we discuss this over breakfast? The redhead turned, and with a bit of struggling, lifted a large bag. Y'all hungry? Me and Lily hadn't ate anything today, so yeah, Lincoln replied. I skipped it this morning, Ronnie Ann added. Then say no more. I'll whip out a nice bacon feast for us. The 4 kids then went into Liam's house after he put the feed back in the barn. As it turns out, Liam was pretty decent cook, and a fast one at that. The heroes didn't know where he got all this bacon from, but it was widely assumed that it was from one of his pigs. Poor thing. As they ate, Lincoln and Lily explained the whole situation to the farm boy. Liam had stopped eating once due to the shock of how it all went down, as this was a fact of one of the Louds revealed their hero identities. Ronalda became irate once again, due to after hearing more vivid explanation of betrayal, and it didn't take long for Liam to figure out what her identity was. The news reports of murderers being shot in the head were unaimlessly tied to the ace assassin. Well, Liam paused. That was a mouthful to take in. Sorry all you had to suffer for that. Don't worry, we're getting past it, Lily stated, stabbing another piece of bacon. Yeah, kind of, Lincoln answered. A tone reeked out of depression. He had been picking at his food since he got halfway through the story. And if you guys need help, I definitely have your back. The red-haired boasted a smile. Lincoln raised an eyebrow. You sure, Liam? I mean, I'm not too comfortable bringing a civilian. Liam spat out his orange juice. Civilian? Shoot and all. I'm far from just being a farm boy who lives on a farm. He got up from his seat, motioning the 2 to follow. Come on, I gotta show y'all something. The others glanced at one another before getting out of their seats. They followed Liam up to his room, where the redhead dove under the bed to search for something. When was the last time you guys stopped at a small-time crime like a robbery or a purse snatcher? Ronnie Ann then scratched her head. I can't. Maybe a month ago? I could have been busy after a major villain focus is based on small crimes. Last time I stopped the robbery was 3 months ago, and I guess the police started handling them better since, Lincoln stated. Well, that's where you're wrong, Ace. Liam scooted out from under the bed, bringing out a box with him. Can you all keep a secret? They nodded. Well, given how you all been busy with dealing with major crooks, I decided to get in the game myself. Liam smirked, opening the box. Inside was a cowboy with a set of cards etched to the cotton, along with a black vest, boots, and a bandana, and the unusual looking lasso that was about the size of a car tire when coiled up. It could have been no more than 30 feet long. Hey, I remember seeing that rope on the news before, Lily answered, to which the others focused on her. Police kept finding robbers tied up at the same silver-colored rope, and it took them forever to untie the bad guys because they claimed it was too hard to cut. They made it like if it was made of metal. That's 'cause it partially is. Liam took the rope out of the box and started twirling around. Been using this old thing since I decided to start fighting crime. During the day, well, just so you know, me as Liam, but at night, Liam partially loosened the rope, lassoed a can off his nightstand, and spraying without a glance. Crooks know me as the Wrangler. The redhead pulled a pin and took a sip. The Wrangler? That's not a card name, Lily pouted, sticking out her tongue. Liam shrugged. It's not, but I have been watching a lot of Western movies, and I don't understand the whole card name shenanigans. Then what is with the card pattern on your hat? Ronnie Ann asked. Thought you guys looked nice. Plus, my granddad won it at a poker game. Lincoln took the hat out of the box, inspecting every inch of it. When did you start fighting crime, Liam? 3 months back. Some fellers were trying to steal my chickens for a profit, so tied up my folks so they wouldn't call the cops, and I was the only one who could do anything. So I grabbed the rope and went to work. It wasn't easy either. The red-haired frowned. They were also carrying shotguns, so I managed to tie them all up, but I barely avoided getting hit directly. Liam lifted his shirt, to which the other kids grasped. There were a few deep scratches that had faded over time, but what caught their attention was the obvious gash mark on the small holes profiling it. The side effect was not fully dodging the shotgun blast. Spent a good few days in the hospital because of this one thing. Occasionally this side still flares, but it ain't nothing. He put his shirt down before sitting on the bed. Liam, Lincoln started, getting over the internal shock. If you needed help, then why didn't you try to reach out to me? I could have been over there as soon as I could. Phone line got cut, and I didn't have the time to reach my phone since they... Liam paused, his eyes becoming a little more glassy. He then shook his head to get rid of what dark thoughts were in his place. Let's just say my parents wouldn't be around if it weren't for me. So seeing that I saved my family and my home, I felt like I could really actually do something, you know? I keep hearing about their criminal activity going on in the city, and I thought the Full House would be some extra help. The redhead sat the box on his bed before sitting the mattress himself. Lincoln nodded. There may be 11 of us, but, well, at least we can get swamped. I still remember that one time most of us got lost sleep due to a sudden jailbreak. Ronaldo couldn't help but grin. I don't know about you guys, but that was a fun night for me. The Latina chuckled darkly, making everyone feel uncomfortable. Right, Liam scooted, a few feet from Ronnie Ann. So I figured I wound up establishing some sort of pecking order. The Full House handling the sometimes the villains. Ace Assassin goes after the killers, and I'm stopping up bank robberies doing the small-time favors. Lily winced slightly. Doesn't that get boring after a while? Liam sighed. It does. Lincoln then tapped his foot slightly onto as he took the account of Liam's skills to match what his other siblings. Are you really sure with that lasso, Liam? Shows enough. I could catch a roadrunner with it. Good, 'cause we'll need something to immobilize most of the Full House if we want a good chance. Lincoln tapped his chin. But we're still outnumbered. Liam then smirked and then swung to his feet. If you all want backup, I know 2 guys who can lend a hand. All of us aside from little Lily. Hey, know them? 'Cause they're our gym class. Lincoln and Ronaldo furrowed their brows as they started picking out everyone they knew that they had in the gym. It was somewhat difficult since there were over 20 kids in their class. Liam gave a small chortle as he watched the two attempting to silently guess who was he referring to. There's a hint. They're both redheads like me. Ronnie Ann went eye wide, face contorting in disgust moments later. Oh, you can't possibly mean... Liam raised a hand in defense. Hey, Zach's really into bombs these days. So much I'm worried he's gonna blow up his house one day. And Rusty has gotten really good at tricking people. Bombs, you say? Lily asked, a mischievous grin forming at her face. A drop of sweat then formed on the back of Lincoln's head. Whenever he saw Lily give that look, he knew immediately she was going to do something crazy. Panning over to Ronnie Ann, he could see the frustrations clear as the sky. Guess not she got her hopes up too high. If she expected some kind of heroes then to so-called weirdos, then she interacts with at school. As the others continued to talk with each other, Lincoln was taking note of some of the comparisons to his team to his old... There was Lincoln himself, Ronnie Ann, Lily, Clyde, Liam, Zach, and Rusty, and there were 7 against 9, and when you add up to their abilities, at least 2 of them could handle explosives. Ronnie Ann was a sharpshooter, Liam could immobilize some of the key targets like Lisa, Rusty's perceived tricks could cause confusion to prevent the girls from organizing, and Lincoln and Clyde had close combat experience. Lincoln smiled a little, after seeing what they might stand a chance if things go their way. However, when he started to think about his other siblings, and that same smile doubled back into a frown. Just before all of his sisters had a close combat training on top of certain abilities that they possessed. Luna's amps could potentially nullify Lily and Zach if she struck the right chord. Lynn was bullet resistant, but also was Lola's thanks to her crystals. However, Ronnie Ann especially said that she had something for them. Lenny could potentially match Liam with that sash of hers, and Lucy and Lana were wild cards of their own, namely the one peering out of nowhere with being too wild and too out of control. Especially since she was near water source. And as for Lori and Lisa, most of them were the normal group though. Lori was just as good as Lincoln in fight, and Lisa would make sure that you couldn't touch her. Lincoln put a small hand to his head, squeezing her eyes shut as a low groan escaped from him. Just like thinking about his impending crash was too much for a headache to think one is sitting. He let out a small yawn. Guess that bacon really does a number on ya, he muttered. Seeing that the others were talking, the boy figured out they couldn't mind if he lied down for a minute. Walking over to the other side of Liam's bed, he flopped on the mattress. Lincoln stared at the ceiling till his vision became blurred to the point where he could barely make out of the ceiling fan. Within seconds, nothing came out of the darkness and enveloped his vision. Lincoln shifted a little. The soft mattress, as his eyes closed, slowly opened up. Well, what he thought was a mattress, once his brain was half awake, the loud boy realized that he was lying on the couch. Given by the color, texture, and feel, Lincoln knew he wasn't at his house. Rolling onto his back, Lincoln checked his surroundings through his half-tired gaze. Guess Mom dropped me back home at the bride's house. Ugh, why does my mouth feel sore? The loud groaned to himself. On instinct, his tongue moved around and felt 2 soft objects pressed against the side of his cheeks. Raising an eyebrow, Lincoln drowsily shifted until he was back on the couch. He reached for his mouth and pulled the foreign object. Loud's eyes widened and realized it was a blood-soaked sponge. Lincoln sat up in the instant, frantically tapping parts of his mouth. He felt his tongue open space to where the swollen teeth were been, but his breathing quickened, thinking someone must have knocked him more of his teeth. He let out a small whimper as Lincoln visibly cringed back at the mouth throbbed in pain. Clyde came around the corner, his face glued to the 8th Savvy comic in his hand. He glanced at Lincoln, whom expected to still be asleep. The nerdy child made a double take once more. He realized that the white-headed boy was still wide awake. Hey, Lincoln, I thought you'd still be asleep. Clyde set the tissue on the table. That must have been some heavy sleeping gas. Sleeping gas? Lincoln said in a muffled tone. Yeah, you had your molars moved, remember? Lincoln racked his brain for what happened moments before he went to sleep. I was at Mom's office, they checked my teeth, and... He then paused, remembering once the memory came to him. Oh, Lincoln's cheek heated up a little. Right. Right. Mouth feeling sore? Lincoln gave a nod, to which Clyde handed him the painkiller bottle before getting him some water. Lincoln popped one of the pills in his mouth before Clyde tossed him a bottle. He reached out for it, only to miss for the bottle grazed at the fingertips. I can't catch. Nah, I shouldn't have thrown it so far away. Clyde chuckled nervously. Lincoln picked up the bottle, taking a few sips to force the pills down his throat. Miss Loud also said you need to take those every 3 hours. No, wait, 6! The African American took notice of the gauze of the sponge. And you may want to put another sponge in your mouth. Lincoln then poked his tongue around and felt another sponge on his left cheek, took it out, cringing in disgust, but after seeing it was soaked with blood and spit, Clyde then tossed them in the bag, to which Lincoln actually caught and took 2 sponges out. Hey, Clyde, Lincoln pushed one into his mouth. Have you ever had that same type of dream happen, as if there was more to it each time you fell asleep? Clyde shrugged. Not that I know of. Why? Did you have another nightmare? He asked, raising his voice in a near panic. Clyde then calmed back down when he noted one key reaction was missing. Wait, didn't you wake up screaming though? Lincoln then shook his head. It's not exactly a nightmare. It's more like a big adventure. Like it's becoming a headache. Whenever I have those dreams, it makes me take a moment to remember what happened, as if I'm living a second life or something. This sounds like you might need more therapy talk, Clyde stated brightly, before moving towards the hallway. Right this way, to my office, good sir. He stopped mid-stride when another reminder smacked him in the head. Oh, before we talk, there's more of some lunch for you in the fridge. The mere mention of food made Lincoln's stomach growl. I guess that was good timing, the loud boy chuckled. After peeking into the fridge, Lincoln unwrapped a plate with his name on it on a sticky note to find a crab cake sandwich. With a small salad on the side, he took a moment to heat it up first before heading to Clyde's room. Figuring he could just eat it while they talked, Clyde then sat down on his own chair while Lincoln sat on the truddle bed. Still eating bits of his lunch, the loud boy made sure to make his gauze sponges out and take it out before eating. He at least accidentally swallowed one. Sure enough, the boys spent the next few minutes talking about how good Howard's cooking was before getting into the real details. Clyde was rather surprised to hear how complex Lincoln's dreams were now getting, moreover the imagination Lincoln had when he was allowed to sleep for a few hours at a time. It was one thing to imagine Lincoln and himself being a savvy and one-eyed Jack, but his sisters and friends possessing alter egos as well? Well, that was the fact that they each had certain sets of skills to go with it. It was almost too much for Clyde to take in. It made him wish he had dreams like that. So just to make sure I understand it all, you and Lily, Ace and Deuce, went into a warehouse because the rest of your sisters were having trouble with the card shark, but it was actually a trap set by you by the same sisters you were afraid of. But you managed to hold them off before they reorganized and overwhelmed you. Then Lily comes in and saves you? Lincoln nodded. Next, you pass out shortly after you both manage to get away. Then I arrive and take you both into a secret hideout where someone's in the woods. Then I manage to get back into the fortress of Solitaire or steal something from Lisa to heal you. Once you're on your feet, you call Ronnie Ann for help, and she was the assassin who used guns? Lincoln nodded again. Then after that meeting with her, you, Lily, and Ronnie Ann head to Liam's, who was secretly a cowboy? Yeah, the loud shrugged. I just pictured him as well, given how he wrangled bulls before, and Zach was a bomb guy like Lily. I'm not too certain on what Rusty was before I woke up, but I sort of think he was like a magician. Lincoln then rubbed his temple. It ached slightly as he continued to think of what happened in his dream. Now, the whole reasoning for this led up to the confrontation with your sisters, the African American asked. I'm not too sure, Lincoln meekly answered. He was supposed it did, but actually fighting his sisters again was a bridge he had yet to reach. If I had to guess, it's because you're still trying to avoid, while at the same time you're attempting to reach out to them again. You did text Lori yesterday despite having a day mare after all. Clyde then folded his legs. So, do you think that might be a sign you actually want to see your sisters again? The pregnant pause between them gave him an answer of its own, Seeing Lincoln still have a level of uncertainty with me and his older siblings, Clyde decided not to press the issue. Now then, about your ace-savvy dream, Clyde started, taking a deep breath through his nose. All that sounds totally wicked. I mean, I know Ace and Jack are superheroes, but thinking up to one of your sisters as old friends and giving them cool backstories? Dude, you should make one comic out of that one day. Lincoln raised a brow. You think I should? Well, yeah. If you have an imagination like that, just think about what you could do if you had those same thoughts while on the front of blank paper. Our art teacher always tells us our channel is our motto, she calls it. Lincoln then cast a sullen look on the floor. I don't know, Clyde. I haven't been good at anything. His frown deepened. The only thing I've been good there was being there for my sisters, and then I failed too. Clyde then gave a small frown of his own. Have you tried drawing before? Lincoln shook his head. No, but I did everything else during the time I tried to get a trophy into that case at my house. The boy started counting his fingers. And then I tried a marathon, dead last, tried karate tournament, broke my hand while trying to split a stack of wood, went to a talent show and tried my luck with music, booed off the stage. He sat on his lap. I even managed to get into a little Miss Cutie pageant and lost that. If you remember what happened during that video contest, I had to give that up because my sisters hated me for embarrassing them. Clyde then chuckled slightly, to which Lincoln glowered at him. It's not even funny, the boy muttered. It's not that, Lincoln. It's just the outside of the video contest. You tried things that your sisters were so good at. I'm thinking that maybe you have tried to follow in their footsteps to see if you could gain something from their talents instead of yours. Was there something else you talked about with Dr. Lopez? Sort of. I told her the same thing I told you, but we didn't go too much into it. Well, take it from me, buddy. Clyde leaned back in his chair. You could do more what you think what you're capable of, and it makes more sense. I believe you could do more than just being a good brother. And not just that, there's nothing wrong with that. But I really think you should try drawing, because if your imagination is that big and complex, I think there is a sign of someone who's going to be an artist one day. Lincoln shoved the best of his sandwich in his mouth, chewing slowly as he proceeded Clyde's advice. Could he be an artist? He never explored that opportunity, but given on how he tends to create dealings with his everyday hijinks of his siblings, it could be applied to storytelling. Not only that, a few times Lincoln did draw something, usually involving a plan of his. The picture didn't look half bad. Granted, it was still a little amateurish, but he's not a professional. Well, Lincoln swallowed his food. If you think I should, then I'll give it a try. That's a spirit, Clyde cheered. Oh, and make sure you clean your mouth properly after you eat. You might have gotten some of your food where the molars used to be. And speaking of which, I did have any powers on One-Eyed Jack, like as super detective skills or stealth, because I'm thinking it had to be stealth so I could get into the fortress without being noticed. Clyde and Lincoln gave a small snort. Of course he did, he'd ask. The boy chuckled internally before being thankful that he had someone like Clyde as a friend, not to dock any points from the rest of his social circle, but Lincoln doubted that they would be his insightful. Are you absolutely sure about this, Lisa? But what if it just makes everything worse? Lynn Sr. asked as his little genius of a daughter. She approached the parents while they were both unpacking the groceries, and unsurprisingly, they were a bit odds with this plan. Lisa wanted to wait until they were finished, but before they could discuss it in the living room. I assure you, Father, that theory of mine is a 55% chance of being successful. And to start off, I propose that someone who's already been in direct contact with Lincoln initiate this new strategy, Lisa stated. And who do you think should be the one to talk with Lincoln? Rita asked. You know he's not going to be trusting anything you girls say if it's the truth. I anticipated that, which is why I have deduced this problem down to two siblings that have a direct line of sight with Lincoln themselves. Lisa took out a pie chart that was divided amongst the 5 sisters. Lily was not included since Lincoln still trusts her. Most of the sisters' selections were small, including Lisa's, but Lynn's and Luann's were significantly a bit bigger. Taking into account personality, physical stature, and contact length with Lincoln, My best candidates would be Lan and Luann. The 4-year-old then took a pointer, tapped on Lynn's section. Lynn has had contact with Lincoln prior to finding out his fear from becoming an issue, and while he said the meeting did not end well by any means, but it is possible Lincoln may have taken words into consideration. She is also pretty much roughly the same height as Lincoln, making it a bit more comfortable to talk with someone who doesn't tower over him. However, though, one key issue I will have to say that may be a problem with Lynn is well-known physical prowess. Considering that Lincoln's injured arm was doing Wayne, Lincoln could be quite apprehensive at being near her. Lisa then pointed at Luann's chart. Then there's Luann. She had contact with Lincoln under apprehensions due to the sudden school assembly, and after which she had saved him from being trampled on by a student body. From her retelling the event, Lincoln was scared stiff, but he did not run away. He was taken by his social circle before anything could happen. The prodigy put the pointer to the side. Because of this action, Lincoln may be willing to speak with Luann as a thanks. However, Luann's history of pulling unexpected pranks leaves her in a realm of unpredictability, to which would make Lincoln cautious. She compressed the pointer until it was only an inch long. I added the fact that Luann's also 6 inches taller than Lincoln, so he might find this imitating. Lisa then paused, hoping her parents would provide some input. However, they didn't speak a word, so she continued. As for myself and the other siblings, we have a bit to little to no contact with our brother, outside of that hospital one visit, to which we are not viable candidates. Lynn Sr. and Rita glanced at each other for a moment. It sounded like a good strategy, but there was still some hesitation about rushing into things. As if the girls made one wrong move, it could possibly drive Lincoln further away from them. Well, sweetie, it's a nice plan and all, but... Rita paused, trying to get her thoughts together, but Lisa was already beginning to look disappointed. She feared her parents might regret her idea. What her mother's trying to say is, well, we're just nervous of having you girls being within Lincoln's sight again. He just texted Lori last night, and now you guys want to see him in person? There's a lot of things that could go wrong. Lisa gave a sad sigh. I guess this is a waste of time then. Now hang on, we're not finished, the partridge quickly added. However, we are going to bite the bullet and trust you girls to decide on your own about what you do and who will be meeting up with Lincoln. And when I say trust, I mean a loose term. We'll be checking in to make sure you girls don't try anything crazy, Rita replied. Well, that technically counts as approval, Lisa noted to herself. Understood, and I will inform my sisters immediately. Fortunately for Lisa, their talk had drawn the attention of the rest of the girls, including Ronnie Ann, who was still a little bit exhausted to try walking home. Although they could try to be happy having her opportunity to win Lincoln's trust again, this was masked by the nervousness that the Greech girl felt. Lynn and Luann in particular were sweating bullets as they were well aware of the stakes that were placed on them. If they succeed, it would accelerate Lincoln's hopeful return to the house. If they fail, it would make him somewhat want to stay far away from the house as possible. And they sure as hell do not want to screw up any one of the few chances they had.